Hello and welcome. This is going to be a video on how to use Kahoot. It's a very useful tool for a lot of teachers and trainers, but given the coronavirus that we're in at the moment, it's also a useful thing for parents and to use or to suggest their children use. Actually, the kids could probably use it already. So let's get started. So first thing is we're looking for something called Kahoot. So there's Kahoot. Enter the pin. You're going to need that later, so people who are playing just enter a pin. But you're going to need to go in, and if you don't have already, set yourself up an account, which is not too hard. You just sign up or log in. So what I'm going to do is I already have an account, so in the Blue Peter style, here's one I've created earlier. I'd just like to point out that although we're dealing with one particular product, I'm not being paid to advertise this or anything like that. So you can just click on create. We'll look at some of the other bits a bit later. There are different things you can create, but the basic you'll want to do is the new Kahoot. Okay, some of these things with the crowns on are the paid for version. The upgrade version, you can do a lot with the basic free version. So you'd give your Kahoot a title, then you'd whatever you want. You can also change the picture, and then you come in and you add questions. The crowns are the paid for one. We're quite happy, and it's perfectly fine with just the free one. You've got two types, a true or false or a quiz question. Then you add the question and you carry on. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that, and I'm going to use one that I've already got on the go. So I called this family quiz. Okay, now then we'll come to this screen a little bit later, because actually what I wanted to do was edit it, not just look at it. So I'll just wait again. So here are the relevant ones that I've got. Over here, three little dots. Click on that and go to edit. You can do a couple of other things there. You can actually duplicate your Kahoot so that you could use it as a template to create another one. So here we go. Just took a while to come. I was a bit worried there. So right. So here's a sample question. I've got which European country has the most castles, and that's where you're going to type your questions. You can change the time limit. We'll look at that in a minute, and some of the points. So for example, I could change the time limit for each question, and then you type in your answers here. So we've got Germany, France, Slovenia, Wales. Well, actually, and then you tick the answer that's going to be correct. So here's another one. What game is this? In this particular case, it's Ticket to Ride Europe, so that shows you it's the answer. So let's go and put that one down there. You can drag them around and alter the areas. So we're going here. So okay, let's just do add a question first. So I'm going to just add a quiz question. It goes right to the bottom. Oh no, it goes wherever I was. So, and I'll put it up here. So here I would type a question. So I'm just going to pick a question here. So will this be found? Oh, my spelling's terrible. Right. And then what I can do is here I can take an image from the image library. There's lots of different things, so and they might give you some inspiration for choosing. Or you can just copy from upload from your own computer, so you can just drag it across as I've done, or upload. It's just like uploading a video. So here we go. We got the map of Monday, which is the map of the world. Now I can set the time, how many seconds people have got to answer. There are different settings where you can turn off the time anyway. So we're going to go with 20 seconds. I'm going to add an answer. So I just put my cursor in where I'm going to type, and we're going to go with Hereford Cathedral. Salisbury Cathedral. Paris. And let's pick somewhere else. Let's put my car. Right. And then you tick which one's right. So going to put a tick in there because it's actually Hereford Cathedral. Then that's fine. That's done. Okay. Then what I can also do is certain points are being awarded. Once you put the question in, you can change the points to 0 or all the way up to 2000. Leave it at that. It doesn't really matter. Right. Okay, so I got a question here, and this time I don't have a picture. You don't always need a picture. And I got what travelled from Lavernock Point to Flatholme in 1897. It's the first radio message. It's down there. So it helps if you know a little bit about Wales for that one. Should be about 8 questions on here. Oh yeah. So once you've finished doing your questions, you can just go done. And now what we're going to do is I'm just going to test it. Okay. Now, testing it is what it will look like when you actually play the whole thing. So we know that we've got a couple of ones that might not work. So the players would log in on a phone or another device, another computer, and that's where the log into Kahoot option came from. If you remember, I showed you earlier. I'll go back later. So I can pick team or classic. You can go friendly nickname generator, which we'll put on just for this one. If not, people type their own names. I'm going to choose classic, which is every person against each other. Oh, now I'll warn you, the music. You might not want it. You can change the lobby music. But I think we're just going to turn it off. Right, so the players would then enter it in like this. So this preview allows you to see what it would look like from both sides. It's a great way of showing you what it will look like for your players and to check. So let's come up with a nickname. I'll just go OK. You can do it that you have people write their names in. So this will show you who's logged in. So obviously we're only going to have one player for this. Then there are 8 questions, and it tells you it's called the family quiz. So what it will do is it'll show you the question on one screen. So you're going to need to have a screen that everyone can see. You might do it through your paper. Let's do that. Right, so and then it gives you the colours: Germany, red, blue, yellow, green, and the players click a colour on theirs. So the players will need to see the screen. So I mean, you might use a HDMI cable and put it for your television, and the players can be on their mobile phones. Right, so I talk through the next one, and it gives points based on the speed. But you can turn all the points off. I'll show you that later. So here's another question. What name is Byzantium also known as? Now this is quite an interesting one, because you've got Istanbul red, Ankara blue, Constantinople yellow, Bursa green. I'm going to press yellow over here for the player. Now in this particular case, the ticks are the right answers The other ones are the not right answers, but there are 2 right answers here. You don't just have to have one right answer, you can have more than one right answer. So we've got Istanbul and Constantinople both correct. Right, let's have a look at the next question. So Mount Everest is named after Welshman Sir George Everest. Now in this particular case, we got a true or false. So I can just pick true for blue, red for false. We're going to pick true. You see, helps if you know the answer. And here we go. Now it starts coming up with these streaks, answering streaks. This scoreboard session, this is the bit that the person who's hosting the Kahoot will have and see. So next is I control the pace of the quiz at the moment. So what game is this? Here comes the thing, and this one's got a picture on it, and that happens to be, well, I don't know, it could be Ticket to Ride You, it could be Rails to Sales. I'm going to pick the green one, which, oh dear me, I thought I might be wrong there. Tick here shows me that the correct answer was Ticket to Ride Europe. Well, never mind, can't get them all right. And then, who lives here? Well, you'd have to know whose door this is. I happen to know that the Grumpy Dwarf lives there. And there we go. So, as we quiz through them, gives you a chance to check your questions. Let's have Hereford Cathedral. And then we're almost there. We've got 2 more left. Hoover under Milkwood. Dylan Thomas. Next. And what travelled from Lavernock Point to Flathorn? Well, we looked at that when we were setting the questions. It's the first radio message. Okay. That gets us to the end of the quiz. It then gives you a little score point like that. So, now you can test it, you can share it with others, you could share it to social networks so that people can play. But I'm just basically thinking about it for your home use. Alright, go there. Number 2. Okay, when you create a Kahoot or edit it, you do get the options. You don't have to have points, and you can change the timer. So, but you can do that for each question. Okay, so that's basically how to use Kahoot. If we just go exit, it will also give you all kinds of other help because they're lovely people here. So there are things like some free Kahoots that you can just play with or encourage other people to have a go. So here's one on coronavirus. It's only going to stay active for a few more days. Now we can play it, you can host it or create the challenge. If I hosted it, it would be just like I did with that other one, so you would host it and everybody else would play, which is quite cool. You can also, on any ones that you've created or that are free, you can just go like, now this allows you to just test or check that the answers are quite true. So I can do that for any of the Kahoots, so I could do that for the one that I've created, or any of the ones that you've created, obviously. So there are also distance learning guides, which are quite useful because a whole load of us are educating people at home. So there's download the guide on how to use it. So here's the guide that they have. It goes through how to use it, what to do with it, etc. It's quite useful if you don't get everything that I've talked about. There is also there's also some other ones. So there is this. If I go back, there's a guide on here which you can find, which is like, download a create your own Kahoot questions, and then you could upload it or whatever. So you could create a Kahoot for someone's homework to just check it. But where Kahoot can be really quite fun is if the children, if you're schooling at home, or your students, will actually create the quiz that then you have to answer, because that can be a bit of fun. And actually sometimes people will learn more by asking questions, because they've got to not only research the question, find the question, and then look at the answers and give the correct answers, and that encourages them to think about it a lot more. Okay, so that's it for this one. I hope that makes sense. And have a go and play with Kahoot. It's quite a good tool. Goodbye.